Welcome to Inner Power Moments, a podcast that elevates your power, purpose, and potential.
Welcome to Inner Power Moment. I'm your host, Valery Malone, and I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Like I mentioned in previous episode, this is our time together. So if you're listening to this solo episode, I really love for you to take some time for yourself. Spend this time with me, make this you me time, and let's have some conversation that matters to you. I help influencers, successful influencer, on how to deal with their hidden struggle, like overcoming self-doubt, setting boundaries, to be authentically themselves, to value themselves, and to live a peaceful life personally and professionally. Today, we're going to talk about self doubt and what is a self doubt and why you're suffering from self doubt and how that can affect your personal and professional life. Now, I'm somebody that I know a lot about self doubt because I struggle with self doubt almost all my life. Now, I share my personal story with you guys in each episode because I feel like it's important for you to know that you are not alone. Every person that in this world always deal with their own demon inside of themselves. Either we are lacking confidence, we don't have a low self-esteem, we criticize ourselves more than other people do criticize us. That's just the way we think of ourselves. You're not alone, I'm not alone. I learned that in a very young age because I thought I was just me. There's something wrong with me. There's like, I don't know how to do things. And I was really a people pleaser. I had such a low self-esteem. I always had this anxiety. I was always stressed because I could never feel fit anywhere. I thought I was just this outsiders and I can't fit anywhere. People that were around me was completely different. They were successful. But me, I was just like battling with my own self-doubt all my life, even through my adulthood. And the reason for that is because I came from another country. So for me, it was like culture shock was one thing. And me not only speaking the language, but speaking the truth of who I was. And the reason I didn't know who I was is because all my life I was always told what to do. My family was very cultural, and I was one of the 13. So I didn't get much attention in the family, and I was kind of like on my own. My parents stopped parenting me when I was 10 years old, and I was kind of learning stuff on my own. And as I always say, who you hang out with, that's who you become. Depend on who you with, you become that person. So I hang out around people that was really not good for me. So I really learned a lot of things from other people and their expectation, and I was functioning from that mentality. I was functioning that, how they wanted me to be in order for them to like me, in order for them to accept me. So I have to always do things what make them happy, whether it was my parents, or whether it was my siblings, whether it was my ex-husband, whether it was my friends. I was always doing those things, and I consider myself a people pleaser for the longest time. And everything that I wanted to do on my own a little bit, I always doubt myself. I had this huge fear of, oh my God, like I can't do this, and if I do, what if? If I do, what if? So I battle with self doubt for a longest time. And I know that a lot of people, a lot of influencers out there that are so successful, that are making a lot of money in their professional life, they have this image, they have their persona that people watching them and they say that, oh my God, I wish I was like this person. But they don't know the behind the scene that how much we struggle with ourselves, and it's really hard to express that even with anybody because now you have this image. So for me, from self-doubting myself, and then all of a sudden I learn about myself that, okay, I need to stop being a people pleaser. I need to have some boundaries in my life. I need to stop with the self-doubt because it's causing me a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. I have to be my authentic self. So it took me a long time first to learn about myself. Yes, it took me a long time to learn about myself. But the problem was, which it was so weird that once I learned about myself, the people around me did not like it. So now that I'm this person that I'm trying to work on myself, I'm trying to improve myself, I'm trying to know what my likes and dislikes are. I wanted to create a life for my own self the way I want it. Then all these people around me didn't like it because to them, I was that old Val that used to be people pleaser, that used to say yes, that used to have a lot of fear, that used to have a lot of self doubt. And it was very difficult for me to kind of change from that to wanted to become the person that I wanted to be. And I knew in my heart that, there's a lot of things that I'm doing. It doesn't make me feel good. People talking to me the way that I really don't want to be talked to, or people saying to me things that I don't want to hear. But I would just putting this persona, and I would just like, okay, you know what? It doesn't bother me. But actually, it did bother me a lot, and I kept that for myself for a longest time because it was really hard for me to express myself and go out there and be myself, because now you have this persona like that, now you have this identity that people give you, and how can you break from that? How can you break from that? And sometimes it can get even harder because, especially when it comes to your professional life. So me being that people pleaser in a personal life, and then in my business, I also created the persona that it was always like, everything is sunshine and rainbows and good and good and good. But then, and I didn't really feel like that all the time. And it was a very weird feeling for me because why? I was like, um I can be vulnerable. I can show the side of me. I can talk about myself with people, that how much I struggle with self-doubt, how much I struggle with not setting boundary in my life, how much I struggle with always being a people pleaser. So today I'm going to talk about what is a self-doubt. We already did, but especially for an influencer, if you're an influencer, if you're listening to this, and what are some things that you can do to actually create a peaceful life? Create life in your own term. But more importantly, keep up that image of yours and be successful and keep up with your brand, but yet be authentic to yourself and authentic to your followers, authentic to your audience, authentic to your listeners, because that's what really comes down to. So the biggest problem a lot of influencers have, that they're suffering with self-doubt, is the constant, comparison with other influencers, especially the newcomers. Because when we start a business, what do? The first thing goes through our mind is comparing ourselves. We're comparing ourselves that, oh my God, this person. And sometimes even our role model can become our competitor. It's like, okay, I love this person. I want it to be like the person. But when you start and you're struggling with self-doubt and you putting this persona and you representing yourself as somebody that you're not, it's kind of cringe you inside. And you say to yourself, oh my God, why that person is so successful, so comfortable in front of the camera, so talking about all these good things. They're so happy. They have so much money. They look amazing, but I'm not. You know, we compare ourselves with so many people all the time. When we start a business, I know I did. When I started my business, I was comparing myself. I was looking at myself. And then when you start a business, you obviously have to, learn things. And as you're learning, that's one thing that puts so much stress on you. But you see these successful people that they're so polished online, and you say to yourself, well, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not doing that? So, comparison is one thing that can be very killer when it comes to self doubt, that can create a lot of self doubt. Fear of judgment from followers and brands is another thing. Today's society, everything is digital. Everybody sees us in social media. Back in the days when you start a business, when if you're in the radio, it's like people don't see you. Somebody might listen or not listen to that channel, or if you start a business, people don't see you as much. But now we're so exposed. The more we expose, the more we have this fear of judgment. And there's so many people out there that are wishing to be you, wanting to be you, and they're not. So what they doing is they sitting around is judging other people because it's so easy, right? It's so easy. I mean, back in the days, when we wanted to gossip about somebody and we wanted to talk bad about somebody, or we would do it with somebody else, with one person, two-person, three-person, right, alone or whatever, or even meeting that person, we were being mean to that person or say something to their face that we shouldn't have said. But how often that would happen, right? You don't see those people all the time. We would do it once in a while. But now it's so easy. Why is so easy? Because we have the phone. You see somebody, you go like this, and these people are sitting, the trolls are sitting behind a phone, and it's so easy to just put their opinion there, and they're struggling with their own life. They're having their own problem. So it's not like the matter of that I have to come, travel, and see you to say something about you in front of your face or even behind your back with your friends, but I'm here and putting my comments for a million people that are following you, and I'm just not having a good day, and I'm just gonna say some stupid shit and I judge you. Because it's so convenient. It's so easy for people to judge us. It's so easy for people to say things like that, right? And especially what kind of a state of mind they are at the moment when they have their phone. You know, somebody can be drinking and then Friday night and going through the thing and see something and put it like a stupid comment, or somebody could be having a bad day, or somebody can have a problem at home, and a lot of influencers have this fear of being judged from the followers and from the brand, because they're just so easy to find you and so easy to judge you. So that's another thing that a lot of influencers are suffering from. And if you're an influencer listening to me, this is one of the things. But it's really not your fault, because it's so convenient for people to judge you. Doesn't mean it's true. Their judgmental is not true. Their negative thoughts not true. But as a human, we can help ourselves, right? So all these people that are watching you, and then they're writing stuff about you, and meanwhile you're just doing your job. You're just trying to, you know, work on your business. You're trying to become a successful. You're trying to do something nice. But unfortunately, there are other people. So the fear of judgment can cause a lot of self-doubt in your personal life, no matter what kind of persona you have in the front. But when those cameras are off, we feel like, oh my God, like, we're going through the comments, and we're like, what the hell is going on? And all these people are judging me. So that can cause a lot of self-doubt. The other thing is that maintaining this perfect image, is so easy, especially with AI and with editing, with everything, right? I mean, oh my God, when I go see people, they look so different in front of the camera, with the filter, with the editing, with the making themselves skinny, whatever, whatever. It's so much advanced, but somehow that can really make you feel uncomfortable, because you're here, you have a goal, you have a passion, you wanted to pursue your passion, you want to become an influencer, or you are influencer, you're doing your job, but you see other people, and maintaining that perfect public image can be very, very, very hard, because people look at you, and they're like, again, people are so stupid. They say shit all the time that, I don't know, your makeup didn't look good, or you didn't say the word right, or you're too fat, you're too this, or your background doesn't really look good. So there's so much that comes with that, can cause so much anxiety, can cause so much stress, and can cause so much self-doubt, that you're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? It's bad enough that I'm trying to grow my business, but yet I have to have this perfect image for people to see me and for people to understand me. So I dealt with this in old timing, which was a little bit easy because the social media was not out there. So people were not, it was not that easy for people to attack me. But as time passed, now it's just like, oh my God. Oh my God, like all these negative things that coming in. The good news is that you get exposed to a lot of people, your business can grow. But the bad news is that there are a lot of people out there that they're suffering in their life. They're wanting to pursue their passion. They want to be successful, but unfortunately they can't, or they didn't want to, or something keeping them from that. So what they're doing is they try to shit on other people to make themselves feel good. Basically, that's what it is. Because that's what people say, misery need company. You know what they do? They find people and they just try to put their misery on them, because it's easy to ignore ourselves. It's easy to say, well, you know what? I don't want to deal with this problem, so I'm just gonna dump that on somebody else. So for you to keep this public image of yourself to be good is so hard. But yet when you get that feedback, that is even worse, and people are criticizing you for things, and that makes it even harder, and that makes it even you know discour- discouraging for you to be who you are. So these things can cause a lot of self-doubt. I know I did deal with this shit all the time, and I know you do. But today I'm here to give you a couple of steps that I applied in my life that helped me, and I hope that it will help you. So not only that, when I talk about subjects that matters to me, that matters to my clients and matters to my listeners, is that not only I give you my strategy, but I also bring a lot of influencers, public figures, experts in my podcast, and I want their story as well. I want you to hear their story, where they started. And majority of the guests that I bring in my podcast, they're extremely successful, and they tell me the story. I always, if you listen to the episodes that with the guests, I always start, how did you start this career? What inspired you to choose this career? And we go through the whole journey, to the whole journey, that how they started it and what challenges they face and what they went through in order to become successful, and in order to create a life they absolutely love, and they create a life in their own term, that they are now comfortable with their professional life as well as they're comfortable with their personal life. So if you haven't listened to those episodes, if you're feeling self-doubt and you're feeling that you're being too harsh on yourself, I highly recommend you to go through the episodes and see. We have guests from all walks of life. And what I love about those episodes is that they tell their story, and when I'm listening to them, and it just, we have so much in common as a human. We all have so much in common, but yet we feel so isolated. We feel like we're not together. Like, this is only me. I only have this problem. I'm suffering from this. You know, my life is not going my way. But yet, when you listen to successful people, it just, they had the same problem. And the more I listen to them, the more I say to myself, oh my God, it's like our stories are similar, because everybody has a story. Everybody had a story. It's just that how they took their story and they flipped it and they rewrote it and they relived it and they created a life in their thing. I did mine the same way, because my story, if you go back and read about me and know about me, I share my story all the time. I'm very transparent with my story, because I wanted to encourage people to say that, listen, I came from a country that women couldn't even work, let alone like worry about getting bullied, or worry about getting judged from people, or worry about what other people are saying. We didn't have, because I always tell people, talent is universal, opportunity is once in a lifetime. So there's a lot of talent out there, but people don't even have the opportunity to show their talent, let alone worry about the social media thing. But when I hear their story, it reminds me that, everybody has a story. And you're listening to me right now, I'm sure you have your own story. I'm sure you came from somewhere, or you're doing something that it wasn't really the way you thought it would be, but they changed their life. So self doubt, every person deals with in one time in their life, whether we're not successful, whether you consider yourself successful, or whatever it is. So these are the things that a lot of human beings deal with. Being a people pleaser, not having set of boundaries, imposter syndrome, self doubt, which causes so much mental health these days, which causes so much mental health, that we get stress. We get stressed. We put so much stress on ourselves. And then we don't have a balance in our life. You may be an influencer, you're doing amazing in your job, you're making a lot of money, but unfortunately, your personal life is suffering. And you have this feeling within you that you can't talk about it with people. You keep it to yourself, and it's just eating you alive. So that's why I try to talk about these things, to tell you that you're not alone. That's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel stress and overwhelm. But there is something you can do to be successful in your career, as well as be peaceful and create a success in your personal life. And that's the goal. That's what we want. We want some balance in our life, because You can't have a successful career without having successful personal life. You can't have a successful personal life without having successful career. So it kind of goes hand to hand because how much time we spend at work and how much time we spend in our personal life. And I make a lot of episodes talking about the little things that matters, that makes you feel the way it makes you feel, and your authenticity and who you are, not how people see you, not how people perceive you. It's within yourself of who you are. That is very important for you to acknowledge that, to learn about yourself, to learn about your good, your bad, and uglies and your personal life, and make sure that you work on that. You work on that and make sure that you have a successful personal life as well as your professional life. So, for that reason, one of the things that you should do when it comes to self doubt is to reframe yourself and ask yourself deeply, why did I start this in the first place? Why did I start? And it's so funny when I talk about this because when I started my business, and I was always entrepreneur all my life, when I started this business, I was so excited. I was so excited because I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people. I went through a lot of challenges in my life. I went to physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse. I went through all of that. I became a mother in a very young age. I was a role model for my kids in a very young age, and I didn't know myself or I didn't know anything. And I tried so hard to be a good mother and a good wife and a good daughter and a good boss or whatever. It just I went through all of that and I chose a career. And I said, I'm going to become a coach so I can help other influencers so they can create a peace in their life. But when I started that business, I was really, really excited. It wasn't really about money, and it still is not. I mean, we have to make a living. But what excites me is because when we give and we can change somebody's life, when we can look at somebody in the eyes and we say, you know what? I understand you. I respect you for who you are. That was my goal in the beginning and it still is now. But unfortunately, as time passes by, we work so hard in our business and you get caught up with all these things. You get up caught up by people's opinion because you're so exposed, because everything is online, because everything is so easy. So people know everything about your personal life. People are watching every move that you make, and people pick on you and everything that you make. But you have to come back and remind yourself, why did you start this in the first place? Because it's very easy to forget that. I know you have a passion and you're very successful. You pursue that passion and now you're making it. But that drive that drove you in the first place, that I want to be an influencer, I want to make a change in people's lives. And every time you have self doubt in your personal life, you need to remind yourself of that. You need to say to yourself that why did I start this in the first place? I do this all the time now because I used to get so annoyed when I was used to getting bad comments. You know, I was like, I just want to help people. Why people are doing this? Why people are writing these bad comments or why people are saying these things? Because I forgot why I started it. Now I got caught up with the society expectation. And that can happen so easily. So I literally put a little note and remind myself, why did I start this in the first place? Because my goal is to help people create a life in their own term. My goal is for influencers to get that hidden struggle out of their system and cherish their identity, their authentic self, their soul, their emotion, their thoughts, and their ideal of who they wanted to be. So sometime it can get hard. You can forget about that. So if you feeling self-doubt and if you have this persona out there and if you're somebody that people sees you at that person, that who you are, you're so successful, you're so beautiful, you're making a lot of money, you have everything, your life is perfect, everything, you have that persona, you have a lot of followers, everybody believing you, that's who you are, that's great. But then when you off the camera or not there and you're feeling self-doubt and you feel anxiety and you're feeling stress and you're feeling like, I don't feel that way, then I need you to remind yourself, why did you start it in the first place? Go back all the way when you started it, when you were excited, when you were humble, when you didn't care. You didn't care about the money. You didn't care about what people think about you. You didn't care about what people are going to say to you. You were just excited to pursue your passion, to pursue your passion. And that was the main goal you started in the first place. And that's okay because sometimes we forget years and years and years and years later. Now you're putting that persona, you're becoming that person, and you forget that. And that can take us to a rabbit hole, and we can have this anxiety and self-doubt and all of these fears that comes with us. So ask yourself the question, why did I start it in the first place? And that can help you tremendously. And I do this every single day. I ask myself, when I'm in a bad mood, I ask myself. When somebody writes something to me, I ask myself. When something didn't work in my business, I ask myself. So why did I start it in the first place? And when I remember when I started that I was so bad, and I still am, because we always will learn. You're never going to be perfect. No matter how much money you make, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how much setting you have, you never going to be a perfect person. Okay? Nobody is. Nobody is. But you were perfect then. You just started it, and that drive that you had, that was what made you who you are now. And if you cannot forget that, and if you keep bringing that back, it just is a sign of a relief that um, we're so, it was so easy. It was coming out of excitement. It wasn't coming like, oh my God, I have to watch myself. I have to be this person. But it was coming out of excitement. So I always tell my client, be child-minded, but not childish. Because a child is always excited. They pay attention to that moment. They do what they do at that moment, right? They don't care about yesterday and they don't care about tomorrow. You can criticize them all they want. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They walk around like half drunk. They fall. They get up with their little tummy bulging out. They eat with two hair in their head and little teeth. And no matter what you say to them, they're so themselves because they're child. But as you grow up, we forget. Now, it's a good thing to be child minded, to be spontaneous, to be humble, to love yourself for who you are in and out. But don't we just have to lose that childish, okay? That's why we grew up. Being like child minded, having that child minding is very exciting in every stage of your career. But unfortunately, we forget that. We grew up and we build up these layers of opinion of other people around us, and it makes us very small. Think about everybody's opinion around you every single day, whether it's good or bad, how small you're getting, bigger and bigger by their perception, but you are yourself, your true self, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you feel self-doubt, then I need you to remind yourself, why did you started this in the first place? The other thing that you can do that can boost your self-esteem, to get rid of your self-doubt, is that if you are influencer, if you see people writing a nice thing about you, I need you to take that, print it, make a folder, and put it on the folder. And every time when you're in your personal life, when you're off the camera, when nobody's seeing you, then you need to look at that. You need to look at that and see how much life you have changed. There are people that admire you. There are people that are watching you. There are people that are listening to you. And that matters because it's so easy to gravitate toward negativity. It's just the way it is. Human beings are like that. People can give you a compliment 10 times, it goes away, but one person can say something bad, it just stays in our head. It just goes to our subconscious mind like, oh my God, this person said this. It was so mean to me. That's why a lot of influencers, they don't look at their comments because they're saying that I can't take it. Because it could be a million good stuff, but one bad stuff, it stays out. And as a human, we gravitate toward negative more than it is toward positive. Why? Because ego is so much bigger than our soul. Our soul is always grounded. It's one-sided, it's just great, it's just there, doesn't care, doesn't really get bothered, doesn't change. But the ego blows up and it shrinks. And the way to control your ego is to, the more you remind yourself of, there are good people out there. that are watching you, that are listening to you, that are learning something from you, that you're entertaining them, the ego shrinks slowly, slowly, slowly shrinks up. And you get more in touch with your soul. But if we keep paying attention to those things and have this persona, then your ego gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and we forget ourselves. Because yourself is really, your authentic self is really your soul. So print those good comments, print those things that people say about you, and put it on a folder. And before you sit down for the next video, look at it and remind yourself there are people out there that actually admires you, likes your work, and with you. Because it's so easy to get wrapped up and get ripped off by the persona you create for yourself, and by this ignoring your true self and suppressing it, kind of like, okay, I'm going to leave this over here because if I look at it, I feel really bad about myself. I'm not the person that I am in front of the camera. I'm just doing that for a brand, for followers, for this, for that. Because it's your business, you have to do it, but that's fine. As long as you cannot ignore your soul, as long as you cannot ignore your true self, and not get too devastated when someone says something bad to you, and not get too excited if somebody give you a compliment, because our soul is always grounded. Do you know that a human body cannot differentiate between anxiety and excitement? When I learned that, it was so shocking to me, because if you get too excited, it's almost like an anxiety. But if you get too devastated, it's like also that create damage in your body. So I train myself. I said to myself, I will not get too excited if something really phenomenal happened. I do get excited a little bit. I'm happy about it, but I make sure I'm not like becoming cocky. I don't become that person that I know it all. I don't become that person that I have this much money now. I can do whatever I want. I don't want to be that. I remind myself of that. So I get happy, but to the level of that it is nurturing my emotion, my soul, my thoughts. I get excited about it a little bit, but I always ground myself. But most importantly, I want to make sure that I don't get devastated if somebody says something to me, because I remind myself that why did I start this in the first place? And there are a lot of good people out there. There are a lot of good people out there that you can actually change their life. You're changing their lives through whatever you're doing. So if you're suffering from self-doubt, ask yourself this question. Take some time, spend some time with your soul, spend some time with yourself, and communicate that in your content. Talk about these things. No matter what career you have, no matter what you're showing on front of the camera and talking to your followers and talking to you people, include these type of conversation as well. Talk about self-love, talk about self-compassion, talk about humbleness, talk about soul, talk about how important authenticity it is. Include these conversation in your content. The more you speak about those things, the more people outside sees you that not only you're successful professionally, but you're also successful personally, because you care about yourself as much as you care about your job. So I hope these tips helps you. I know it helped me, and I only share with you things that I have done in my life that helped me. This is not something that I read or whatever. It's a whole life experience. It's a whole wisdom that I got, because I'm sure I'm older than any of you that are listening right now. And wisdom is not something that you can learn in the school, and wisdom is not something you can just get it. It comes with age. It comes with age, and we can't fast forward that. So I've been through all of this, and I try to help you guys and give you guys strategy, what I did that helped me in my life. So I hope this can help a little bit. But yeah, I just keep listening to these episodes if you feel some type of way, and spend some time with yourself and be proud of yourself, be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself. And that can change the whole game when it comes to success. I don't know what success means to you, but if you're feeling uncomfortable within yourself and you're not being yourself, then I think it's time for you to start taking care of yourself. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time, keep using your inner power and know that you can do anything in the world and you can create a life just the way you want.